The 2009 F1 season will forever be remembered as one of sport's greatest fairy tale stories. Bought for £1 in March 2009, Ross Brawn just managed to save the Brackley-based team and renamed it Brawn Grand Prix. They won 6 out of the first 7 races and stormed to the top of both championships. After a late surge in form for Red Bull, it looked like they were about to snatch both titles away from Brawn. But in Brazil, it was too little too late.
We are the champions, my friends. We are world champions, world champions. Woo!
Brawn had done it. From a team facing liquidation to world champions, it's a story that'll forever be told. Now, a new chapter emerges for them as Mercedes look set to buy the team out.
Breaking news. Coming out of Brackley this morning, the proposed deal with reigning world champions Brawn GP and German manufacturer Mercedes returning to the Formula 1 grid full-time in 2010 have come to an abrupt end, with the German manufacturer pulling out of the deal. What does this now mean for the future of Brawn GP?
So guys, welcome to some breaking news today. I've obviously just kind of thrown this onto my phone because I just needed to kind of react to this because this is absolutely crazy. So, you know, it looked like Mercedes were going to step in and the Brawn GP team were going to be rebranded as Mercedes for the 2010 season. Obviously, Brawn, they've become the 2009 Constructors Champions, and obviously Jenson Button has won the 2009 Drivers' Championship. I wanted to know what you guys think because, yeah, bizarre. Brawn GP are no more, and they're not going to be Mercedes. They have pulled out and they've folded. Yeah, guys, get involved in the comments below. And I guess that's it. For now, you F1 fans, keep racing. Unless you're Brawn GP and then you're not racing. Wow, can't believe it, guys.
How the world would have looked if Mercedes didn't enter Formula 1. Well, that's what you heard at the start. Breaking news, guys. For the 2010 season, Mercedes are not in F1. No, I'm just joking. It's still April. It's not the first, it's not April Fool's, but that kind of is. So, we are going to be throwing a hypothetical video along to you guys for 3 seasons. We are going to be talking about Mercedes and what if they weren't in Formula 1? What if the dominance that we saw since 2014 just did not happen? So, we're going to be discussing 3 seasons today. 2010, 2014 and 2016, and I'm going to start off with 2010, the big year, the exciting year. It was a great year for Formula 1, mainly for me and John. Went to Silverstone. You probably guys have your views, and of course Mercedes came into Formula 1, replacing Brawn, of course. Ross Brawn, team principal of Brawn, the CEO of Brawn, came over to Mercedes, becoming team principal, bringing along Nico Rosberg and Michael Schumacher. It's a big year for Mercedes. Big year for the German automotive brand, and let's see how the season panned out. But firstly, let's get into the actual table of 2010. Now, of course, guys, if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock for 10 years, Sebastian Vettel won his World Championship in this year, becoming the youngest World Champion. It was absolutely incredible and amazing. I think it was 5 drivers or something like that up for grabs for the last few races. An amazing showdown in Abu Dhabi where it could have gone his way or the Ferrari driver, the first season Ferrari driver of Spaniard Fernando Alonso. It was an amazing season. So the real championship stood like this. Sebastian Vettel, of course, becoming the youngest world champion, 256 points for Red Bull Racing. Fernando Alonso, the Spaniard driver at Ferrari, 252. Mark Webber, 10 points behind Fernando in 242 points. Fourth place is the British driver L.Hamilton, standing on 1 world championship at that point. Fifth place, Jenson Button, 214 points. Sixth place was the Ferrari driver of Felipe Massa, 144 points. Seventh place is for the German of Nico Rosberg. Eighth place is the Polish driver of Robert Kubica, 136 points for him. Ninth place was Michael Schumacher, 72 points for him. Then Rubens Barrichello driving in the Williams, 47 points for him. Tied on 47, also just outside the top 10, is Adrian Sutil in the Force India. 12th place is Kamui Kobayashi, that was 32 points. Then on 27 points in 13th position is Vitaly Petrov for Renault. 14th place is Nico Hülkenberg for Williams with 22 points. 15th place is Liuzzi, again the second driver for Force India, on 21 points. Sebastian Buemi in the Toro Rosso with 8 points. Pedro de la Rosa in the Sauber with 6 points and 17th place. Nick Heidfeld in 18th position with Sauber for 6 points. Jamie Alguersuari in the second Toro Rosso, he's got 5 points in 19th. Heikki Kovalainen in the Lotus on 0, and then from there, it's all 0. So you got Jarno Trulli, Karun Chandhok, Bruno Senna, Luca Di Grassi, Timo Glock, Yamamoto, forgotten his first name, and Christian Klein, 0 points. Now, there's a lot of drivers in there, 27 drivers. Right, so that is the real table, and let's get into the theoretical table. Now, of course, just a joke, all three seasons are going to be a joke. Mercedes weren't really a top runner in this year. See, Michael and Nico really just paving the way for a brand new team in F1. Well, returning, as I should say, but brand new in modern day Formula 1. And of course not what they did in 2009, for example. But here we go, let's break it down. But this one, we're going to go from the back up to the world champion. So basically, from 25th to 18th, it's just all on 0. So let's run through those quickly. It's Christian Klein in 25th place, Yamamoto, Di Grassi, Timo Glock, Bruno Senna, Karun Chandhok, Jarno Trulli and Heikki Kovalainen. In 17th position, rounding off the field who have scored points, is Nick Heidfeld. In 16th position, we have Pedro de la Rosa on 11 points. 15th place, we have Sebastian Buemi on 17 points. 14th points, we have Jamie Alguersuari, teammate at Toro Rosso, on 19 points. 13th position is Nico Hülkenberg on 34 points, so a bit of a jump for him. 12th place is Liuzzi on 39 points. 11th place is Vitaly Petrov with an even 40. Then 10 points above him is Kamui Kobayashi with 50 points in 10th place. Adrian Sutil, 9th place, breaks into the top 10 with 66 points. 8th place is Rubens Barrichello, of course, as I say, he goes from 10th to 8th in the theoretical championship with 67 points. 7th place is Felipe Massa with 158 points. 6th place is Robert Kubica with 168 points. As I say, a big jump for him. He was in 8th place, but of course, with the elimination of Nico Rosberg, he jumps up. 5th place is Jensen, but in 225 points for the reigning world champion, you should remember. 4th place is Lewis Hamilton, 244 points for him. 10 points ahead of him is Mark Webber. Now, of course, Mark stays. Jensen 5th, Lewis 4th, Mark 3rd, exactly the same. But here we go. Who is going to be in 2nd place and who's going to be world champion? Now, of course, in real life, Fernando Alonso finishes in 2nd place, 152 points, and 4 points ahead of him is Seb, becoming the youngest world champion. But who's it going to be? Oh, it's tight, it's tense. And the 2010 world champion is Fernando Alonso. It's coming back to Maranello. They have another world championship, and Fernando has a 3rd. It's absolutely crazy. Sebastian Vettel is not now the youngest world champion. It's crazy. And especially after what he put in that year, he's now not world champion. Fernando Alonso takes 261 points for him, 1 point over, as I say, that German driver for Red Bull. Fernando, he's done it, 3-time world champion, of course, alongside the 05 and 06 Renault championships, and he is now the world champion of 2010, John. Moving on to the next season, which is 2014. Now, of course, this is the last year we're going to be talking about the V8, the last V8 year. So this should be a good one to talk about. And of course, as I said, guys, this is just theoretical, hypothetical, bit of a joke. They were in Formula 1. But how would have things panned out, John, for Mercedes and 2 drivers, and mainly 1 driver in particular, in 2014, the first year of the V6s?
So the 2014 season marked a brand new era for Formula 1. The first time we've seen the V6s, the radical change in aerodynamics in the cars, some very ugly noses. Yeah, it was just it was not a good sight for the world of Formula 1. It was very, very strange. And obviously, as we really know in real life, Mercedes absolutely dominated the season, taking every win bar 3, in which the other 3 were won by Daniel Ricciardo. So looking at the standings, real life standings of 2014, obviously Lewis Hamilton took his 2nd world title at the time. Mercedes' first since Fangio in 1955, I believe. Nico Rosberg just losing out on the title at the last race. Well, Red Bull rookie Daniel Ricciardo, he finished in P3 in the 3rd place in the standings. Valtteri Bottas in 4th, Sebastian Vettel in 5th. Fernando Alonso in the Ferrari in P6, Felipe Massa in 7th, Jenson Button in 8th, Nico Hulkenberg in the Force India again in 9th, and his teammate just below him in P10. K-Mag making his F1 debut season this year in P11. Kimi Räikkönen in 12th place on his Ferrari return. 13th place is Jean-Eric Vergne. Romain Grosjean, everyone's favourite driver, in P14. Daniel Kvyat again making his debut this season in P15. The legend that is Pastor Maldonado. He's in P16. Jules Bianchi in the Marussia in P17. Adrian Suttle P18. Marcus Ericsson P19. Gutierrez P20th. Chilton P21. Kobayashi makes a return to Formula 1 in P22. And that legend, that driver that everyone remembers from that incredible drive at Belgium, Andre Lotre. No, me neither. As you can see, Mercedes, like I said, absolutely steamrolled it in 2014. Like dominance, like we're talking like McLaren 1988 dominance, Ferrari 2004 dominance. It was absolutely crazy. But Mercedes haven't entered Formula 1, so none of that ever happened. So who did take the title in 2014? Well, let's find out. So really, there was no movers essentially from the guys who didn't score points, from Kobayashi all the way down to Andre Lotre, so they just kind of finished pretty much where I explained it. However, Marcus Ericsson finished in 17th place on 2 points. Adrian Suttle finished 16th on 3 points. Jules Bianchi in 15th on 6 points. Pastor Maldonado on 9 points in 14th place. Romain Grosjean on 21 points in 13th place. Daniel Kvyat in 12th on 28, 10 points behind his teammate Jean-Eric Vergne in P11 on 38 points. Then there's a big gap between him and 10th place Kimi Räikkönen, who finished on 100 points. K-Mag finished 2 points ahead of a very well experienced Kimi Räikkönen in P9, Sergio Perez in P8 on 105, Nico Hülkenberg, or Hulkenberg, depending on how you want to pronounce that, is in P7 on 149 points. Jenson Button in the McLaren Mercedes on 179 in 6th place. Felipe Massa in P5 on the Williams in 205 points. Fernando Alonso in the Ferrari in 4th on 229. 3rd place, Sebastian Vettel in 247. In 2nd place is Valtteri Bottas in the Williams on 273 points, which obviously means Daniel Ricciardo would have been the first Aussie World Champion since Alan Jones in 1980 on 315 points. A very comfortable lead over the Finnish driver. Now, of course, assessing this, the tables weren't that much different. There was a couple of movers in the bottom kind of part of the table, but really there was not. Mercedes were that dominant that none of the other teams really did that well in terms of movement wise. But if that season had panned out in the alternative world, of course, like I said, Mercedes won every race apart from 3. It was either Hamilton, Rosberg, or Daniel Ricciardo that won a Grand Prix that season. But if Mercedes had been removed from 2014, the win total would have went like this. Daniel Ricciardo would have won 6 Grand Prix that year, not his 3. Valtteri Bottas would have won 4 Grand Prix, and of course he didn't win any Grand Prix that year. Vettel would have won 3 Grand Prix in what was a winless year for the German. Massa would have also won 3 Grand Prix, meaning he would have won a Grand Prix for the first time since his big accident in 2009. Of course, his first win since Brazil in 2008, a very, very popular, well-known Grand Prix. Perez would have won a Grand Prix. He would have won in Bahrain, I think, off the top of my head. Alonso would have been a race winner. And Kevin Magnussen would have also been a race winner in the McLaren. Mercedes, look what you have just ruined. All these race winners, Vettel, Massa, Perez, K-Mag, they weren't race winners because you entered Formula 1. You've ruined everything. Nah, I'm only kidding, of course. Podium-wise, Ricciardo would have got 13 podiums that year. That is pretty impressive. So you can see how well Ricciardo actually did with Mercedes there. Like Ricciardo, when I was doing these results, Ricciardo was just always in 3rd place all the time. It was incredible to see. It just proves how good of a season it was, better than what I actually thought, beating his more experienced teammate. So Hulkenberg would have scored, if Mercedes didn't enter Formula 1, Hulkenberg would have scored his first podium in Formula 1 at Malaysia. Wow, very, very impressive. Jenson Button, now he's got a record that I was very surprised when I first heard this, that he's never been on the podium at the British Grand Prix. But if Mercedes didn't enter Formula 1, he would have finished on the podium in 2014. Like Marussia at the time, Jules Bianchi did a superb Grand Prix in Monaco to score his and the team's only points in Formula 1. Of course, Marussia's Virgin's first point in their existence in Formula 1. Marcus Ericsson would have achieved the same fate with Caterham at the same Grand Prix. He would have scored points, his first points and the team's first points in Monte Carlo. And Kevin Magnussen, like I said, he would have become a race winner, which was at the Australian Grand Prix. He would have become the second youngest race winner since Sebastian Vettel in 2008 at the 21 years, 5 months in 12 days. That's K-Mag's age. Obviously, the record is 21 years, 5 months and 12 days, set by, obviously, Sebastian Vettel. Of course, Red Bull continue their dominance in taking another Drivers' and another Constructors' World Championship. More dominance? Is more dominance yet to follow? Let's say about that. So we've done 2010. Alonso would have been champion for the 3rd time. We've done Daniel Ricciardo 2014, which Daniel Ricciardo would have been world champion for the 1st time. Now, on to our 3rd and final year we're going to look at, which you guys chose on Twitter, by the way, which is 2016. Lyle, can Ricciardo keep up this form, or can somebody take his crown?
Wow, well, 2014, I mean, would have played out incredible. But I'll tell you what, I was really waiting for Nico Hülkenberg's first win, which unfortunately didn't come, and I was like, oh man, Nico Hülkenberg, when's that going to happen? But at least he got a podium, so, you know, silver lining, every cloud. And of course, well done to Daniel Ricciardo. 2016 rolls by. Now, that was an amazing year, obviously, because me and Jordan joined YouTube. But Mercedes, again, in real life, obliterate that year completely. I think they win all but 2 races, on the podium almost all the time. It was absolutely insane. Different winner from Mercedes, by the way, in the way of German driver Nico Rosberg, but incredible, just dominate completely. That car was on fire, literally. So let's run down quickly the World Championship standings from 2016. Of course, German driver Nico Rosberg wins the World Championship. Abu Dhabi, he crosses the line. He is world champion. 2nd place is Lewis Hamilton, 5 points behind in 2nd place. Daniel Ricciardo, the Red Bull driver, the 2014 world champion, finishes in 3rd place. Of course, that's theoretical. This is realistic. 3rd place for the Aussie, leading his teammate. 4th place with 212 points is Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari. 5th place is Max Verstappen, finishing on 204 points. Started with Toro Rosso, came to Red Bull, 1st race, or 5th race even, 1st race with the new team, obviously, wins the race. Youngest race winner. Amazing. 6th place, Kimi Räikkönen, 186 points for him in the Ferrari. 7th place is the Force India driver of Checo Perez, 101 points for him. 9th place on 72 points with the teammate of Nico Hülkenberg in the Force India, or Nico Hülkenberg, which could be my favourite part of Netflix. 10th place, round off the top 10, is Fernando Alonso, 2nd year with McLaren, 54 points for him. 1 point under is his former teammate of Felipe Massa, obviously driving for Martini Williams Racing at that point. 12th place is Carlos Sainz with 46 points. 13th is Romain Grosjean with 29 points, the 1st year for the American team Haas. 14th position is Danny Kvyat with 25 points. 15th position was Jenson Button with 21 points. Not a very good result for him, must be said. 16th position is his old teammate Kevin Magnussen, of course, returning back to Formula 1 with Renault 7 points. 17th position is Felipe Nasr with Sauber with 2 points. 18th position is Julian Palmer, the 2nd Renault driver with 1 point. Wow, Renault were terrible. 19th position is Pascal Wehrlein, the German driver, with 1 point. Stoffel van Dorn is in 20th position, the Belgian driver for McLaren. Of course, Stoffel steps in for the race in Bahrain, replacing Fernando Alonso, who was injured with his crash with Esteban Gutierrez in Australia. Esteban Gutierrez, speaking of the devil, in 21st position. Haas driver, Roman, his teammate, does really well. Gutierrez just doesn't. No points for him. Really, really bad. Marcus Ericsson, also Sauber Ferrari driver, 0 points for him. Esteban Ocon and Rio Haryanto finish on 0 points. Ocon and Haryanto, of course, stepped out in Belgium, of course, kicked out of the Manor seat. Esteban Ocon comes in, the young French driver. Great for him. I think it was, every race he'd done was consecutive finish. Of course, that has more reliability, but still good from the young Frenchman. Obviously, setting himself up for what would be a good career. But anyways, that was the real 2016 standings. So now we're going to run through the theoretical standings working from the back up to the 2016 World Champion. Of course, Mocky Nico Rosberg is not going to win the World Championship. They are not in F1. So things do play out differently. So, starting from 24th position, back of the grid, is Rio Haryanto on 0 points. Esteban Ocon, the man who replaced him at Belgium, actually scores a point. Finishes in 21st position with 1 point, so pretty good from him. Marcus Ericsson, and you can see off the bat here, it has changed a lot of things. A lot of drivers who we didn't see get points are having points right now. Marcus Ericsson in 20th position with 3 points. Stoffel Vandoorne actually scored 4 points. Now, considering he was only in one race, which was Bahrain, that's incredible. In 8th position is Pascal Wehrlein, tied with him in 4 points. 17th position is Julian Palmer with 7 points, obviously the third Brit on the grid. Felipe Nasr in 16th place, obviously joined with him in 7th point with 7 points. Esteban Gutierrez is in 15th position with 10 points. 14th position is Kevin Magnussen in the Renault with 18 points. 13th position in the Toro Rosso car, obviously the recently demoted Danny Kvyat, is in 13th position with 42 points. 12th place is Jenson Button with 47 points in that McLaren. 11th place is Romain Grosjean with 55 points with Haas. Breaking into the top 10 is, of course, the new boy Toro Rosso, the Spanish driver, the man who was unfortunately looked over for trading places, which is Carlos Sainz. He finishes on 84 points, which is good for him. And then 5 points up the road, in 9th place, breaking into the top 10, is his Spanish counterpart, Fernando Alonso, in the McLaren Honda. So at least the McLaren Honda engine getting them himself into the top 10, which is good. 8th place is Felipe Massa. Now, if you remember, I said Alonso was ahead of Massa, but obviously tables turn now completely. Massa is now leapfrogged his old Ferrari teammate. Nico Hülkenberg is in 7th place with Force India, 124 points. Valtteri Bottas is in 6th place with Williams, 141 points. Then 20 points up the road is Checo Perez in 5th place with the Force India drive of 161 points, which is incredible, absolutely incredible. And then 99 points ahead of him is Kimi Räikkönen, 4th place with 260 points. 3rd place, breaking into the top, the podium positions of the World Championship, is Max Verstappen, of course, the man who was promoted to Red Bull for the Spanish Grand Prix, winning that race. So I would say pretty good from Max. Now, we're breaking into the World Championship position. Now, of course, in real life, 2nd place is Lewis Hamilton and 1st place is Nico Rosberg. But it's all changed. Now, we're looking at the new 2016 World Champion. So, in 2nd place with 312 points is the German driver of Sebastian Vettel, and he has finished in 2nd place, which means that the world champion, we've done 3 years, and in 2 of those occasions the same guys won the world championship, and that of course is the Australian Red Bull driver of Daniel Ricciardo. And now that is incredible. I mean, like, really, Daniel Ricciardo has won a 2nd world championship. We are sitting here now wondering why he's gone to Renault. He's been in Formula 1 for all these years. I think he's got 7 wins behind him, just, tiptoeing around Red Bull, and of course moving to Renault, having a disappointing-ish season alongside Nico H. Last year, of course, about to partner Esteban Ocon. This year, of course, if you ever get it this year. So the amount of wins that, so obviously, as I said there, all but 2 drivers, Mercedes won all but 2 races. Of course, the 2 races that weren't won were Daniel Ricciardo in Malaysia and Max Verstappen in Spain. Daniel Ricciardo would have won 8 races, so it would have gone from 1 to 8, which is a big jump from him. Sebastian Vettel would have gone from 0 wins. Again, as I say, not a very good season from the German driver. He finishes with 6 wins. That is incredible. That really, really is. Max Verstappen only winning 1 race, which is, of course, the Spanish Grand Prix, which he wins. He would have gone from 1 to 5. Now, that's what we were kind of all hoping for. He won 1 race in Spain in 2016, then kind of couldn't really get there after that. I think he finished 2nd place behind his teammate in Malaysia. Just chasing the results, but it wasn't really there for him. We were a little bit disappointed, but 5 would have been incredible, and honestly, the hype from him would have been gone from 100% to 300 billion% if he actually did that. And Kimi Räikkönen would have finally won a race, not once, but twice. And the gap, of course, of 115 races between Australia 2013 and Austin 2018 would, of course, gone down a lot more, about 40 or 60 or 80 more. winning in that year, definitely reserved from the Ferrari driver, of course, because he'd been there already since 2014 and hadn't won a race. So we all know how good Haas was in 2016. First two races, Romain Grosjean absolutely destroying. It was amazing for a new team. At first, the highest finish since Mika Salo with Toyota in 2002 for Grosjean in Australia. He scores 12 points in the theoretical championship. But then in Bahrain, in the race, the night race in Sakhir, he actually gets on the podium, 15 points in third position. His first podium since Belgium 2015, since the Spa race in 2015, of course, when he wasn't driving for Haas. Fernando Alonso, he has a good season with McLaren Honda, something that he needed but didn't get. Unfortunately, 2015 was horrible. Let's see if 2016 can be an improvement. And of course, it is, of course, 9th place, good finish. He gets on the podium for McLaren, which of course is his first podium since Brazil of 2007. They needed that for sure, definitely. Fernando Alonso also needed that, something that, of course, he, since he left Ferrari, wasn't looking like it was good in his career. McLaren also needed that, bad 2015. And of course, it was the first podium from Honda, with McLaren Honda, since Gerhard Berger won the Australian Grand Prix in 1992, the last time the Honda engine was actually on the podium. So incredible from that. Obviously, Fernando Alonso was the man who, because he left Ferrari to set out to get Honda their first podium. And he'd done that in the USA of 2016. And obviously, of course, it was the first time for him since 2007, 11 years ago. And first time since Berger won the 92 Grand Prix of Australia. So there we go. They are the stats from the 2016 season. Now, wow, we are looking at Ricciardo being a double world champion. It's absolutely crazy. And that is just from one German team not being in Formula One. I'm absolutely stunned. It really, really is. It's just absolutely amazing. So there we go, guys. That is our theoretical championship of what Mercedes the championship would be if Mercedes didn't enter Formula One. Thank you very much for watching. As of always, we hope that you've really enjoyed the standards. We hope that there's been a few there who have, made you go, I didn't expect that, I didn't expect that at all. It's absolutely crazy. Daniel Ricciardo, well done out there. You definitely deserve more accolades. And I'll tell you what, though, we're both going to be looking at you differently now because of what you could have done in those 2 seasons. Of course, Mercedes are still in Formula One, and if we get a season in 2020, they will be there, of course. Thank you very much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this. We hope that, it's got you thinking about what would have been the scenario. We've got a few more planned in the future. Before we go, also, thank you very much to Dan from F1 E-Reviews and Mike from F1 Fanatics for helping us out, sending that kind of the intros about Brawn and Mercedes. We're very much appreciated. We hope that we can get your help maybe in the future for our next kind of scenarios. As I say, we've got a few more planned in the future. But anyways, guys, that is the end. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, we will both see you later.